Oh my god! The dog started barking. Can you hear them?
Is that because of you?
Maybe, I don't know. Oh my god, welcome back to the Making Fire podcast! Ah! You guys, it is the Survivor 47 finale. We are here. We are going to recap. What? Why are you
I was
laughing?
gonna say finale part 2 because I
I
know it'd
guess
make you mad.
technically, yeah, it would have made me mad. So the dogs, we're excited. The dogs are excited. You guys are excited. Here we are. Let's get into it. We're gonna talk about part one. Oh no, we're gonna talk about part two, the final four, final three, and the reunion. Gag.
Oh my god.
But before we get too far into it, I have to know, Maddie, how are you doing?
I am good because you know what? I am alive and well still on this earth. Not thanks to the drivers around me yesterday. I just have a snowy weather PSA for everyone. Um, for some context, yesterday where I live, we had a bit of a snow event where it snowed a lot and the roads were bad. And so in that weather, you would think that like you would want to go slow. And maybe when you're getting on the highway, you're going slow and you're like being more careful about your traction. And just because you're in a truck doesn't mean that you're invincible. Or just because you're a man driving a truck does not make you invincible.
Right.
Yesterday, I'm driving on the highway, and mind you, everyone is going about 20 miles an hour because the roads are bad.
Mm.
But the highway is usually more clear than any side road. So I'm like, I gotta just take this. I'm driving and I'm two exits away from my exit. And this man in a truck gets on the highway and he's going so fast that he spins and flips around and almost like runs into me headfirst.
Oh wow, your
On
car trauma increases by the day.
on the highway. I almost got into a head-on collision
That's
going one
actually
way.
insane.
Yeah. Because he
Oh
was
my
going so fast
god. That's
and
so
lost control of the
scary.
vehicle. And luckily, I was able to slow down because guess what? If we remember a few episodes ago, I talked about how I got new tires.
Right.
So that traction is really coming in handy. Maybe he could use some new tires. Um,
Yeah.
but I was really shaken up after that. Luckily, the roads were clear today, and I had a fun day out on the town. But I am just like so sick of people being idiots in the snow. And just because you've lived here your whole life doesn't mean that you're like not gonna get into an accident and that you can just go as fast as you want. So that's how I'm feeling about things. And you know what? I was talking to this old man when I was leaving work yesterday, and he's like, you know what? Be careful out there on the roads, not because you're gonna do anything wrong, but because the people around you are usually bad drivers in the snow. And I was like, no, what? You're so right. He was so right. And so feeling grateful for myself and me paying attention and my tires, and also to the people behind me for also sort of being able to stop and not rear-ending me.
Yes, very. I love when everybody's on the same page about that.
Love when we're all on the same page of going slow. Then I did sort of after that was like, I actually cannot be on this road anymore, and did sort of take the highway or the nearest exit and went about 10 miles an hour down the road to my apartment. Um, Anyways, that's just what I want to talk about. It's just sort of fresh on my mind, and like I am just so grateful that I'm still here today. So, and I'm so excited to record this podcast. So,
Hey,
anyways, Riley, how are you?
I just want to let you know that I've seen multiple TikToks, specifically from women, so I hope this is validating to you, of women being like, "I'm gonna go get winter tires," and then being told that the tires that they currently have are winter tires, and that they're just ball, like they never change them.
Oh my god, that is validating. Thank you. What am
People,
I supposed to know about
I've seen
tires?
a couple people be like, I just went to get my tires changed, and they told me that I've been driving on the wrong tires. So,
Okay, that's so relatable.
yeah, I hope that's good for you. I'm doing really good. Thank you for asking. I am a retail warrior, everybody. That's not what I'm talking about it today, but I just need validation from the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Currently working retail the week before Christmas is making me want to sort of gouge my eyes out. It's super fun. But I wanted to talk today about a recent outing that I got to do, not retail related. And this might give you a hint.
Well, I really don't. I Oh my god, we're gonna get copyrighted. That sounded too good.
It sounded too good. Guys, I went and saw Wicked over the weekend. It was so scrumptious. It was so delicious. I went. We'll do a mom reveal. She's my Maddie's mom has been on the podcast. My mom has not. We went and saw the movie, and then we went and did a little photo booth.
Oh, the third one. Okay, I saw her post these on
Oh, did
social
you?
media. Yes. These are
Um,
so precious.
so precious. It was such a good time. We were able to go. It was like a matinee. It was so cool. It was supposed to sort of be a family outing, but nobody else wanted to go. Sort of day of. So we went by ourselves, or we not by ourselves. We went together. And it was so fun. Maddie knows this. Our hometown movie theater. Fun fact: Maddie, the first time Maddie and I ever hung out together was at that movie theater. We went and saw La La
La La
Land,
Land.
and oh my God, putting both of our stories together, it was too snowy, and so we had to have my stepdad in his truck drive us because we needed a
Yes.
vehicle that could sort of handle the snow.
That
But
was
that was
so
the
fun.
first time we ever hung out. It was Maddie's like second time watching La La Land, and she was like, "If you want to go again, like if you want to see it, I'll go see it again." And I was like, "Of course I want to see it." So then we went and saw it. Fun fact.
That was my hyperfixation movie for a long time. Also, I remember that there was like no one else in the
I
theater.
don't think there was. I think you're right. Like I think it was very empty. It anyway, well, so I was just gonna say that for the past like couple times I've gone to that movie theater, like it's just a weird place where this movie theater is located. It's just like it has a weird clientele, and it's just weirdos go there. And for example, this time we were watching Wicked, and probably 30 minutes into the movie, there was like it was like a grandma, a mother, and then two like young daughters, like probably elementary oh my God, elementary school age children. And randomly the grandma comes to us because we're the row behind her, and she gets on her hands and knees and starts padding around on the floor. And I sort of look over at her and I was like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "Oh, we thought you dropped something behind our seats." What? And then I was like, "No." And then I was like, "Let me just keep watching this movie." And then she kept patting around, and then like it's after a minute she went and sat back down. It was really strange. Come to find out at the end of the movie, one of the girls dropped like one of their candies under like the bag of candy under their seat, and they just couldn't find it until the lights were back on. It
Interesting.
was interesting, but anyway, loved Wicked, and I will say, I you could probably describe me as sort of a musical lover. I do
Mhm.
love a movie musical, love a musical in person. Um, I not familiar with the plotline of Wicked. I've never seen Wicked. And I think sort of coming up in the era of Hamilton, I was sort of like a snob about Wicked, being like, oh my God, this show's been on Broadway for 20 years. Like, I don't want to give it its flowers, but I have to say that this was only part one. The story had me engaged. I was fully, and I was like, oh my God, I should have been on this 20 years
And it's a
ago.
long movie.
It is a long movie, but I was like in it. The storyline is so good. I who knew Wicked was about race? I didn't know that. I was like, oh my God, literally this is crazy. So go watch the Wicked movie if you haven't. I know this is like a little indie film or whatever, but go watch it fully. I've been listening to the soundtrack, so good. I've been my vocal stim at the moment is one short day in the Emerald City. I've just been doing that over and over again. I think it's too good. I
I
love that
love
movie. Have you
that.
seen Wicked?
No, and I really want to go see it. But I went and saw another movie this weekend
What did you
that I
see?
talked about. Okay, well, I went and saw Interstellar because they re-released it on IMAX because one, it's been out 10 years, but two, I guess with the writer's strike that was a while ago, there's no new
Oh.
IMAX movies. So they
Oh.
re-released it.
I have
And
to watch Interstellar.
oh
Had you
god.
seen it before?
Yeah, I saw
Okay.
it when it came out
I
in
haven't seen
theaters.
it. Don't spoil it for me.
I won't. It is one of just the best movies.
I've heard that. I've heard it's an amazing movie.
It is so incredible. And I, first of all, I really want to see Wicked. So I'm really glad that you liked it too. I'm probably just going to. Maybe I'll see it this weekend. Who knows?
You should.
I'm still loving
The
the
theater
movie.
was crazy.
But yeah, I went and saw it, and I hadn't seen it since I was like what 13, and it just hits different now. I think like I'm able to not necessarily like get it more,
Mm,
but it just does talk about like more complicated subjects sometimes, just like
yeah.
sciencey wise and like existentially. And I think I just like get it more. And oh my god, it is so incredible. So and like I want to watch it again. And it's also kind of a long movie, but it was really funny. I have a little movie theater thing. So this theater that I went to, they fully like did not the teenagers there do not really get what's going on.
Right.
When we like had to buy our tickets ahead of time because it was almost sold out. And the kid could not get the thing to scan. He's like, "You can just go in." And then we were paying, and we had a gift card. Shout out to my mom; she gave it to Logan for his birthday, and we had a few dollars left on it, so we were buying our popcorn and a soda with it. And the kid could not get the gift card to work, and he was like really not wanting to manually put in the code. And so he like handed us the popcorn and our one soda cup, which also is like soda's like $8 for a
Mm-hmm.
cup. And Logan grabs it and is just gonna like go stand in the line to fill it up because it was kind of long. And the kid didn't notice, and then he gave us a second one. And I was like, taking that. And he sort of did take multiple minutes to get the gift card to work. So,
Right.
but it was very funny.
I wish we lived closer together, like to see movie. Oh my god! I was just texting my friend Kellen, former roommate. He lives in LA right now, and I was like, "Oh my god! I wish I lived in a metropolitan city. Like, I wish that I could just go to a movie theater that had like all the movies that I wanted to see, instead of my movie theater, my local movie theater that half the movies they play are like red pilled propaganda, and the other half is just like the blockbusters. I'm like, oh, I want to watch the small indie movies.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like the one that I go to is an AMC, and I feel like they're pretty good.
I know the one my local one is a Regal, and Regal just gives you the wrong vibe. But it's all I
Yeah,
have. Like I don't have anywhere else to go.
you don't get the Nicole Kidman in
So
Regal vibe.
true. I'm like Regal. You need to step your game up. Like culturally, AMC is the moment right now,
It is.
and like you kind of need you need to profit off of that or
Get with the
something.
program.
Literally. Anyway, this isn't a movie recap podcast. This.
I have one more thing. I looked up La La Land's release date, and it's in 2016, which means we've been friends for like 9 years.
Well, that's gonna go ahead and be 8, but yes. Oh no, because we were friends before La La Land, is what you're saying.
And it's almost 2025.
So true. Well, if you're saying one more thing, I want to say one more thing that I did. I just wanted to say that watching Wicked, I cried multiple times during the movie, but I wanted to say that I got one of the most emotional moments was during No One Mourns the Wicked, which is the opening song, and I
Mhm.
started crying thinking about how this was Ariana Grande's dream and how she was living out her dream.
Oh, yeah.
I got really emotional about that, and then I had to like fix myself. But um Maddie and I have been friends for a while. Ariana Grande's dreams. Sorry, this is the process of us coming up with episode titles. Um Ariana Grande's dreams. No One Mourns the Wicked. Maddie and I, Riley, have been friends for a while. We'll workshop that later. We'll workshop that later. But let's get into the episode.
Hmm, hmm.
Our big finale,
I'm
part
so
2.
sad.
What a great season of Survivor. What a great finale.
It was so good. It was everything I could have wanted. I was on the edge of my seat. I'm obsessed. And this season has just exceeded my expectations in every way. And I'm so happy about the outcome. I'm so happy about the journey. I just want to say, like, at the top, I'm so happy with the edit that Rachel got.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something we've talked about like for so many episodes, and we were even talking about it last week of like there's no way she can win because the edit is just like making us think that she's gonna win, but she's just like such an undeniable presence and winner that it's just been so fun to watch and have someone that I'm so excited to root for. Not that I haven't been for other winners, But this one just like I was just
Specifically Marianne.
Marianne. This one I was just so excited about. So I'm really bummed it's over, but I'm happy. Wait, don't cry because it's over. Smile because
It
it,
happened.
it happened. You had a good time.
Great season of Survivor. Survivor is really on an upward trajectory right now. I would say 45 really boosted it back up. Specifically, I feel like 43 was a real decline, and then 44 was when it like plateaued, and then 45 is when it started going back up. I would say 45, 46, and 47 have been a great streak of seasons. I and this is just beating. It gets better and better. I remember 46 ended, and I was like, "Oh my god, how are we gonna top this? What a crazy cast of people!" What I would say 46 had a more intense cast, but the story of 47 was just so good and engaging. Um, it was perfect. I'm in love. Rachel broke many records. She joins the women who won for Immunity Club. She joins Erica in being the second or the third Asian winner. Erica and Yulin Asian winners. She's the second female Asian winner. Great. She has had the most confessionals. She breaks Kenzie's record from last season, the most confessionals of a woman ever.
I love it.
Very close to Sam. Sam had a crazy confessional showing this season as well. But you know what's crazy is that it felt very equal. It felt very like I didn't feel like I was getting an overwhelming narrative from either Sam or Rachel, if that makes sense. Like I felt like
Yeah.
I was hearing from everybody. There was
Yeah.
nobody that I was like I would say maybe Sue and like sort of the final group of people. I didn't seem like Sue got a lot of moments, but like when Sue had moments, they were big moments, you know?
Yeah.
Um but a
Rachel's
great episode.
also the third woman to win in a row.
And it's been 12 years since that last happened.
Wow.
12 years. That's longer than I've been alive.
Basically.
Yeah, if you round up a little bit.
If
Uh,
we've been friends for that many of them.
you're my whole life. I hope you know
Oh,
that. We let's get into the nitty gritty here a little bit.
yeah.
I felt like the pacing of this episode was really great. I think I said that last episode where I was worried that the pacing was going to be weird, splitting it up. Like I was like, oh my god, how are we going to make a 2 hour episode out of the final four and the final three, and then the final
Mhm.
tribal council? Like it can't be that. And I was thoroughly entertained throughout the whole thing. The pacing was great this episode and last episode.
Yeah, I after watching the two parts of the finale, I'm really glad they ended up splitting it up because I feel like we just got to go more
In
in
depth,
depth
yeah.
in this episode. And I'm glad, like last week, I think we were talking about how it did feel like kind of fast. And like, I remember when we were covering the episode, I was like, I don't have that many notes for it being a 2 hour episode, but I'm glad that we sort of, you know what it's giving?
Mm.
Oh my God. Speaking of movies, it's giving Dune 1 and 2.
Oh, I
Dune
sure,
1,
yeah.
did you not watch those?
No.
Okay, for our listeners who might have watched Dune 1 and 2, Dune 1 is like a lot of information and it goes a lot faster so that Dune 2 could be such an amazing movie where you get to like slow
Mm.
it down and really get into the story and have like an amazing movie. And I don't think you can have as great of a Dune 2 as you have like without getting through Dune 1. And I kind of
Hmm.
feel like that's this sort of episode pairing. I
I
don't
see
think
that.
this episode would have been as good without us getting through everything last episode.
I yeah. I can get down with that. You need them together. They work together, but they also tell separate stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, here we go. We come back from the final five vote off. Genevieve freshly voted off. I was sort of in my wicked mindset when I wrote this, so I did go ahead and write Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead by Genevieve. Because that's what it kind of was giving. Everybody was like,
No.
oh my god. They were like, thank God we got Genevieve out. Genevieve's dead. No one mourns the wicked. I mourn the wicked. I'm mourning Genevieve. That
Your
was
winner pick.
literally my winner pick. Um, Thank you, Genevieve, for getting me first pick next season. I do appreciate that. Love you forever. Kisses,
Love you,
smooches.
Jen.
Love you, Jen. Amazing performance. But everybody's so excited she's gone. Everybody's so excited that she's gone. I was like, this is okay, we get it. Like, we get it. That is a woman that you're like so excited her death in the game, but whatever. Y'all hate women. Y'all are chauvinistic is what y'all are. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Guys.
future Maddie. I'm sorry. I just had like it just was setting itself up perfect. Okay, I said something I shouldn't say.
You
Cancel
want me to
me.
edit that out?
No, leave that part in.
Do you
That
want
I
me to
said.
edit out what you said?
Oh yeah, edit out. Oh wait, no, you don't have to. If you're not gonna edit out, don't edit out. Okay, but it's an inside, not inside joke. I don't. We don't
I
joke
can give
about.
context.
Okay, give
Okay,
context.
really quickly, Riley accidentally used that word in the completely wrong context talking about someone last episode. And I like in the moment was like, I don't think that means what he thinks it means, but I didn't say anything because I also didn't want to like have to edit more. And so I just like edited out that word sort of, or like that little bit. And Riley and I were just discussing that before the
Because
podcast.
I didn't even remember using the word, and then I didn't even realize what the definition of the word actually was. So when Maddie told me, I was like, oh, that, yeah. Anyways, so this all happens. And it's kind of quick. We go into the final four, the final immunity challenge.
Really fast.
Okay, the thing, if I were to have a major con about the finale, what the hell was this final immunity challenge?
Right.
This is not okay, and I know Survivor is consistently trying to do new things. I totally get it. This was not a final immunity challenge.
No, I miss when they would walk up and it would be like some crazy maze thing and like just something huge. And like they kept talking about like, oh my god, this is the biggest challenge. But I'm like, this is kind of things that you've been doing this entire time.
The whole season. And I would even like the new era has had some pretty intense, even if it's like littler scale wise. Like I'm thinking about 42 when Romeo, Jonathan, Mike, and Marianne walked up to the Samotion challenge, and you had the background of the ocean and the beach and the trees. Like it felt very grand in that sense, where it was like, wow, we're really up here doing the final immunity challenge. Compared to this, I'm like, it's a muddy challenge. And it's like like it's this. There's nothing different. It's just an
And
obstacle course with a puzzle at the end.
and what I liked about the one that you just mentioned, what's it called?
Samotion, I believe.
Something, yeah. I like that it wasn't so physical. It was
Yes.
so mental and like having to keep track of the balls if you know look at the challenge if you're so interested. But having to keep track of that, I think I really like the mental aspect or like
Mm,
not necessarily the endurance, but what was the one in Survivor China where they were like stacking plates and stuff like that?
yeah.
I just like the more focused
That's what
or
I wrote down. I wrote that this is different than normal final immunity challenges. Like usually these of the final immunity challenges are very concentration endurance type challenges where it's like you
yes.
really have to focus. And if you put enough of your mind over matter, then you really like can do it. You know what I
I
mean? Like
like
there's
that.
if you concentrate enough, if you can prove that you want it the most, which I arguably think is more exciting. Like who wants it the most? Who wants that final immunity the most?
Yeah.
I think is a better way to play it off than let's just do a
Obstacle course and a
and I'll
puzzle.
and you know what, last episode, if you guys watched the last episode, very much me not knowing. Oh no, it would have been the episode before. We recorded two back to back. The last episode I took notes for. I didn't remember the challenges, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna write what the challenges are. And this is how I wrote down. I wrote crawl, rope, gate, tiles, combo lock, machete, climb ladder, solve puzzle.
And that sums it up.
That literally does. They had to crawl through a thing, untie a rope, walk across a gate, do some tiles with that had the combo lock, and then the machete. And Teeny didn't know how to do the machete. Okay, can we? Okay, another. Teeny gets voted out. We'll get there in a little bit. And again, this is not a shitting on Teeny hour. I have no intent to sit here and shit on Teeny because what? I am Teeny.
Yeah.
This has been the story the whole season is I truly am Teeny. I would be Teeny out on the island. Why can Teeny not do anything by themselves?
Oh.
No, I'm sorry, but why Teeny can't cut the rope with the machete at all. Teeny goes, I'm so confused. I'm
Do
like,
you
girl,
think
what
it's
are
a
you confused about?
confidence thing?
No, I don't, because they seem like a confident person.
I don't I don't think I agree with I think maybe in some situations, but
Maybe
I
they
would
have like a
say
presence, a social presence that may seem confident, but is just like them having
I think
presence in
they
the moment.
don't feel very confident to me.
Mm. Yeah, and I
Specifically,
guess yes,
we'll get to it, but when Tini looks up and is like, Rachel, what do I do now? Like,
literally,
when building the fire, like, that's giving not confident in
that's giving your
yourself.
23 years old
Yeah.
living your best life on Survivor right now.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the she is so coded. But Teeny can't cut the machete. It's giving very Courtney from Survivor China. Check out our Survivor China coverage if you're interested in that. Um, is sort of what it was giving,
Yeah.
and they book it. It was very close between Sam and Rachel this whole challenge. Sam sort of has an edge over the whole thing. They get to the end, and Rachel is able to surprise surprise pull it out at the puzzle. But what really, ooh, Rachel is better than me because if I was on the island, what would piss me off the most?
Hmm.
People start looking at my puzzle. The way that I would turn around and start screaming at people. The way that if Teeny and Sam came over to me solving my puzzle, I would have turned around and been like, "Get away! Take a step back! Go do your own puzzle!" I'm like, Rachel is better than me because that would have pissed me off.
Okay, but Jeff did have a good point. While Rachel is continuing to get further in her puzzle, the others are just playing catch up.
Which
So,
is so true. I mean, yeah, I guess that's the give and take. Is that if you're gonna go over and look,
but if
then
you're gonna go ahead and yell at them, that might be.
you don't think that would be kind of iconic if I turned around and started
No,
yelling
it
at
would. I
people?
need you on Survivor so bad.
But Rachel ends up having a crazy pull on the puzzle part. She is able to catch Sam and win the final immunity challenge.
I was so happy.
Rachel wins a final immunity challenge, is on a crazy immunity run. Rachel has not been able to be voted out for the last 5 cycles. I think maybe even 6. I don't know which cycle she got her safety with that power played on her that Soul gave her. So it
Yeah.
might be 5 or 6 cycles since the last time Rachel has even been able to have been voted out of the game. You have not been able to vote Rachel out in at least 5 cycles of the game.
It was also in this moment that I knew she won.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it was a matter of how easy is the win going to come, is sort of what the
Yeah.
next question was. Like, what was sort of going to be the pushback from that? But I was like, oh, we just got the crowning moment and we're 30, 40 minutes into the episode. For the
Yeah.
next hour 20 is going to be watching the master at work.
Yeah.
We're just going to be able to see it like flourish. I was so excited. Are you familiar with any of these Survivor players that they name? Kelly Wigglesworth, Chrissy
Yeah.
Hoffback, Kim Spradlin, and Jenna Maraska.
Yeah.
You're familiar.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite?
Uh, probably Kim.
Kim Spradlin?
Hmm.
Right. So,
Favorite?
do I have a favorite?
Yeah.
They're all my favorite on different days. That's me channeling my mom. She's just inspired me. That's what she says. That's what she's always said growing up.
Who
I don't
was
know
your
if you're
favorite today?
like who is her favorite today or who is my
Yeah.
favorite today.
Know who's your mom's favorite today?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't asked her yet today.
Oh.
I feel like the answer most of the time is me, but
I would.
would we be surprised?
Send this to your mom.
That was. Anyway, y'all, Rachel wins us immunity. It's pretty exciting. Like, that's wild. And then we went to break, and then I had a moment because up until this point, obviously, it's like, okay, Rachel just won. But then part of me is also like, oh my God, the edit has been setting her up to lose. I'm like, please, please, Rachel, um, do not put yourself into fire.
Yeah. Oh
I
my
was
God.
I didn't think she was actually going to do it, but then part of me I was like, there's been so much talk about Rachel doing fire the last couple episodes. I just
Yes.
felt like it was we were setting it up that way.
I had faith that she wouldn't and that it was going to be like a chill
Hmm.
portion of the episode. But yeah, it was definitely in the back of my head.
The
Like,
demons inside are
don't
a
do
little
it.
like, yeah. But then we cut back from break, and they're washing off the dirt, and they're sitting in the ocean, and
Sue's
Rachel's
looking younger than ever with all that dirt washed off her face.
literally, um, and Sue, not Sue, right? Well, about Sue, yes. Rachel flat out is like, sorry, y'all, I am taking Sue, so y'all are gonna have to figure it out because Sue is for sure going to the end with me.
I love her for that too.
I think it's good too because there didn't need to be no back and forth because sometimes like the people that I always bring up the season in the finales. I don't know why. It's because I just remember this fire making episode so clearly. But Island of the Idols, like Nora is like, I'm gonna bring Tommy, and then like Dean and Lauren, they're like, no, like don't do that. Figure out another plan. And then Nora's like thinking other things, and I think it's better to just like clean cut. Like I'm not changing my mind. This is what we're gonna do.
Or has someone ever just been like evil mode and told someone like, imagine if Rachel told Sam and she's like, Sam, I want to go up against the next best person. I'm picking you to go to the end with me. And then at Tribal, she doesn't pick Sam.
I don't think anybody's ever done that because that is a I don't. Oh my god! I just wonder what the jury like. Because obviously that person's going and that person is not voting for you. Like, does that just leave a sour taste in the mouth right before the final tribal council? Like, what would the vibe be?
Like, imagine if you won. Yeah. If you didn't think you were gonna actually win in the end for whatever reason, or you're just like, I don't care, go until the end.
And then you try to gaslight the jury. The jury's like, so you told Sam that you were gonna take him, then you put him in fire. And I go, I never told Sam that. Who told you that? Sam told you that? So you're gonna believe Sam over me. Y'all hate Sam. You're gonna believe Sam over me.
I need someone in a next season or so to just be full villain. Like no strings attached.
I've brought her up like full villain at Final Tribal Council, or just full villain period.
Full villain period through tribal council. Final tribal council. Like
Not a villain, but one of my I've brought her up before, but the girl who won the first season of Australia, she infamously just lied during her final tribal council and like persuaded the jury to vote for her. Like Loki, like it wasn't a huge, it wasn't like a full lie. It was kind of gaslighting, like borderline gaslighting. She just sort of twisted the narrative a little bit, and they were like, "Oh yeah, like you ate that," but she didn't. She didn't really eat it. Like, like she wasn't a great player, but she anyway. Like that's kind of iconic. We need some of that energy in the U.S. season. Maybe next season, we'll see. Sam, they're still sort of sitting in the ocean. And Rachel's like, Teeny and Sam, you guys are going. And Sam says, you're gonna let me make fire? And then Teeny goes, oh, fuck you. Like, Teeny is me. I'm sorry.
Teeny's like, don't be so arrogant. Oh my god.
Don't be such a fucking chauvinist. Teeny, guys, Sam is not a chauvinist. I just don't know how to use words. Sorry. But
That's
Sam
like
is
your new word though.
It's my new word is chauvinist.
The time you said it in the last hour of us talking.
Sam is trying to beef up his ability to make fire. He's trying to cast doubt amongst everybody that, hey, it's going to be a clear win for me. I'm going to carry it. It's going to be another thing on my resume, blah, blah, blah. And Teeny's like, I don't think it's going to be that clear cut. Like, I think I have a good chance. And there's sort of this vibe for a second where even I, as an audience member, I'm like, is Sam playing them? I'm like, what is going on?
I thought he was doing the opposite. I thought he was
You
saying,
thought he was playing it up.
No, I thought he was saying, I don't know how to make fire. And she
No.
was like, you're lying.
I think no, he was definitely saying that. At first, he said, "You're gonna let me make fire," and I think that was sort of a playful. But
Yeah.
then when he was saying, then after that conversation, he was like, "I don't know how to make fire." That's when like Teeny and Rachel were like, "We don't believe you," but he was
Yeah,
telling the
yeah.
truth. He was like, "I
Yeah.
don't know how
Okay.
to do it," but yeah. Um, I watched Rachel's exit press yesterday, and from Rob Has a Podcast, and she was saying that is what they were feeling, is that Teeny and her being Rachel did think that Sam was sort of pulling their leg a little bit, but then cut to the scene where Rachel goes to see how Sam's doing, and Sam has not made a fire yet, and Rachel was like, okay, he was not lying. He does not know how to make fire. And she even asked him, it was like, how were you, like, you're such a fan of the show. How have you not practiced fire at all? And he told Rachel that he just thought he was going to challenge Beast It Out. Like, he didn't think he was going to lose anything,
Yeah.
which is interesting. He didn't win a single, did he win immunity this season? I don't think he
No.
did. No.
No, he only won rewards.
Right. But Teeny has a interesting sort of confessional at this moment. We have a big journey with Teeny this episode. She says that she has been threatened again. There's the word threatened. My word is chauvinist. Teeny's word is threatened. Teeny says that she's been threatened by Sam since before they stepped foot on the island, and that they're not gonna let Sam continue to affect her like this.
Hmm.
Um, which is, I'm just like, whoa, like we haven't seen any of this sort of like, not, what's the word, perspective from Sam. Like Sam has not had any of this sort of thought process about Teeny, and so it's interesting that Teeny is so strongly in her conviction about who Sam is as a person,
Yeah.
when deep down we really know like Sam is not that guy. Like, yes, is he a jock? Yes, is he what, he's like a sportscaster? Like, does he fit some of those boxes? Yes, but he's also like, he seems to be nice. I mean, obviously we only get the TV edit of him, but like he seems to be a nice guy who cares about people and values people's lives.
Yeah. And he was just sort of like on the bottom most of the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. And I think there's a good sort of cap off to the storyline. Like Teeny has a good, her like goodbye moments
Yeah.
at Tribal, I think wraps up the storyline really nicely. That it's not really, it's never been about Sam. It's always been about Teeny.
Yeah.
But Sam is sort of was there to be the punching bag a little bit.
And he took it like a champ.
He did. I mean, good for both of them, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, we it's been a while since that's happened. Okay, guys, I flew a little too close to the sun. Um,
Riley was trying to give us a British accent
and I sort of disconnected
monologue.
everything at the same time. It's okay. Maddie got it in the middle of our break, and she said it was really good. And it's probably good that I didn't tell you guys that, because then you guys would have gotten confused whether or not I was really British or not. So,
We'll put it on the Patreon. We'll have to record it another time though.
yes. I'm subscribed to the Patreon. But we're just gonna get back into it, y'all. So sorry
Yeah.
about that inconvenient little cut there. We're gonna get into Tribal.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you ready?
Yeah.
So it's just an interesting moment. It's laid out in front of everybody, in front of the jury, to Jeff. Rachel's like, I'm taking Sue. I have no interest in taking Sam or Teeny. And Rachel tells her that there is no, or tells Jeff, there's no point in me giving up this immunity. I don't need to prove myself challenge wise to the jury, because I have 4 immunity wins, tied for the record of the season, tied for the record of most of a woman ever. Like, Genevieve, oh my god. Guys, something's happening. Something has changed. Ooh, what's going on? Um, what's her name? Rachel. Rachel, is chill. She says, I don't need to win another challenge. I got it. And that is it basically. Jeff transitions similar to how I have transitioned today, and Rachel, Teeny and Sam are going to make fire.
Right.
I wrote that I love Teeny, but I low-key hope the jury rakes her across the coals. Like, okay, I love Teeny again. Like, I cannot reiterate enough. If I were out on that island, I would probably play like Teeny, be a little delusional, not understand what's going on, have vendetta against people who have no vendetta against me,
Yeah.
and I have to put that out there in the
That does sound
world.
like you.
But I have to say, I would love the jury to just go in on Teeny just a little bit. And so now I'm sad that like she's not there, but you know what? It's all okay. It's okay. Teeny. Oh. I just missed like half of my notes. I like jumped to the fire making and missed sort of the whole part where Teeny has like a whole thing with Sam. And she's just like, I'm sorry, you guys. The stopping of the episode stopped my flow. The way that we stopped the episode and Maddie and I went nonverbal for maybe 5 minutes, like we were just sitting here waiting for it to come back up. Like it really just stopped me in the tracks. Like I felt like I had a really good thing going on. I'm sorry, okay? Teeny admits that it's been internal. Like she doesn't really have anything against Sam specifically. It's just sort of Sam's archetype.
Mm-hmm.
And you could relate to that.
In what way?
I felt like you could probably find something in there that you connected with.
No, not really.
Not one thing.
No.
Great. I love having a co-host that really works with me and really helps me do what I need to do. So, we start the fire, and Teeny really quickly does it. Like she very quickly starts a fire and gets it going. And she looks at
watch.
she sort of looks at Rachel and goes, "What now? Now
and
what?
Says, build it up,
Baby, build it up, build it up."
Oh,
And
hard.
it was hard to watch. Teeny
so well.
Teeny gets it built and has her fire touches the rope a couple times before Sam even ignites the flame.
And it is a huge fire. Like
Huge.
Jeff literally says Teeny's got an inferno going on.
Like it doesn't even die down. Like that's I think usually the problem with such a quick start is that often we will see it burns too quickly and then it shrinks. But Teeny's fire never really shrank. It kept its size. Yeah. The problem is that the wind affected Sam less is really what it came down to.
I mean, you could totally see that when Teeny's had this huge fire going and it's being blown down.
It was fully at a 180-degree angle.
Affected.
Her fire was at 100 degrees. It was flat with the surface she was building it on.
And not because of like any fault of Teeny's.
No.
Like, the wind was fully just her biggest op.
Jeff even says that. Jeff is like, Teeny's fire is smack dab in the middle, exactly where you want it to be.
Yeah.
She built it up, she added fuel, she kept it burning, she started it quickly. Like on paper, Teeny hit every single mark except for burning the rope. Like that's the one thing that she just wasn't able to accomplish. And that's not her fault. Like she can't control the wind.
No, and I think I don't know how I would feel if I were Teeny in this. But it's almost like, you know what? It just wasn't meant to be.
That's the fate telling you.
You did it literally the best you could.
Mm-hmm.
And, it just was not in the cards for you.
Yeah. So, Sam is able to have a crazy comeback. Crazy comeback. He lights the fire. It burns through the rope quickly. And Sam wins a spot in the final 3.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wasn't expecting it.
No.
Everybody sort of seemed to be rooting for Teeny there.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. I wrote that a full season of fire making losers would kind of be iconic.
They they never eat, and they are always cold.
I wrote Teeny's fire isn't bad. I was writing this. I saw a tweet last night, maybe. I was like, they need to do this inside. Like, they need to have walls up or something. Because it needs to be in a more controlled setting for more equity, I feel like. Like, to make it more equal.
Yeah.
But then I realized, oh my god, we don't even need fire making. Let's just take it away and go back to a vote. Why are we making fire in the first place? That was my brain. When I wrote that note, that was my brain sort of conforming to the new status quo. But never forget tradition and never forget history. Never forget where you came from. Bring back the Final Four vote.
Yeah.
That's the moral of this story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we move on. Teeny is our final juror. That's heartbreaking. She's our fallen angel of the season.
Right. Oh.
Damn, what a heart. That has to be the worst. Ugh. What do you think would be worse? Getting voted out first or being the fallen angel?
I think being the fallen angel. Because you were that close.
Mm-hmm.
I think even, like, I don't think Teeny, like, not saying that Teeny's feelings about ending up on the jury are not valid. But I think it might almost feel worse to be Genevieve. Like,
like the last person voted out?
Yeah. I think that would maybe feel worse. Because, like, with Teeny, like, even if the wind is out of the equation, maybe fire making is the worst. Because, like, Teeny's situation is kind of unique, I feel. And most of the time it, like, sort of is the fault of the person. And I think that would feel really bad of, like, you would always feel like you could have done more. And, like, I would be mad that it was my fault. You know?
Yeah.
But maybe, I don't know. I think it wouldn't be as bad to be the first juror.
The first juror, the first boot.
First juror.
Yeah.
I think almost the worst boot would be the one before the jury.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the worst of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, you just miss out on the end game, which is arguably the best part of Survivor.
Yeah.
So, while we move on, Teeny is gone. Our final three is Sam, Sue, and Rachel.
Iconic final three.
I wrote that we rise, the sun is rising, and I wrote, oh my god, the music going into the final breakfast is so pompous. Very One Short Day in Emerald City.
Do you think that's the theme of Survivor 50 is sort of Wicked?
I hope so. Wait, whenever my sibling Rona and I's favorite quotes right now, Drag Race quote, is from All Stars 1, because that aired in 2012. Guess what else was airing in 2012?
What?
The Hunger Games. And one spoiler alert for All Stars 1, actually one of the queens has an entrance line about the Hunger Games. And later in the season in Untucked, that same queen sort of has a through line of the Hunger Games throughout the whole season. And later in the season, the queen goes, it's just like the Hunger Games. 12 enter, 1 leaves. And one of the other queens goes, it sure is. And that's exactly like that. And that's sort of what Rowan and I have been quoting that back and forth. We'll go, it sure is. And that's what I wanted to bring it all together. That's what I wanted to quote when you said, I hope, is the theme for Survivor 50, Wicked. I wanted to say, it sure is. But then you wouldn't have getted it.
Riley tries to be literate. Challenge impossible.
Mike is down. Mike is down. Everybody,
Unplug that mic.
This is a nuke.
Oh, unplug that mic.
Oh my god, you guys are so tired. Okay. Guess what day it is.
What?
It's Sue's birthday.
And she doesn't look a day over 35.
She doesn't. And it's her new sort of mud mask regimen. It's working great for her. It's Sue's birthday. Happy birthday, Sue. Um, Sam has never had watermelon. He did not like
Okay,
it.
I just like,
What fruit does he eat?
what does he eat?
It sounds like apples and oranges are probably the only. I'm like, what?
That's about as far as he got.
I would love to talk. I want Sam on the podcast just to go over his diet, and I know that might seem controversial, but I'm like, I need to know sort of what this man. Let me buy. I wonder how much a cameo from Sam is.
That is a great question.
Will you look that up while I keep talking?
Yes.
Because I kind of want to get a cameo from Sam and ask him the question to tell me about what his daily sort of meal intake is. I would love to know.
And you know what? That could be a business write-off.
Exactly. You look into that. I'm going to talk about the jury real quick. So
Okay.
we're going to sort of go through the final three part of this because most of this pre-final tribal council stuff is the jury's perspective on the game, and it's pretty quick. We first of all we get this fun segment where it's zoomed in. We get this like every season where the camera is like mega zoomed in on the jury's face. And I wrote that the jury's face card never declines. We had some pretty people playing this season. I feel like
Yeah, we did.
their faces were on. I'll just say that.
I have,
And
I have
yeah, what's the
a
update on
report.
that?
So it's gonna go ahead and be $55 plus. Not really sure what that means. But it does say that the average length of a video is about almost 3 minutes. So we could get an in-depth review of his diet.
Should we go splitsies on a Sam cameo?
Yeah. I'm honestly down.
Okay, you guys, we'll hit you up. Or we'll come back to this in a couple episodes. Maddie and I will talk about this because I need to know. We'll get back to this.
He also
We'll keep that.
offers pep talks and holiday.
I don't. Holiday?
Mostly holiday. That's what they're labeled. And pep talks. So, anyways,
Great to know. Thank you for the update. At this point, so the jury's talking, and sort of the way that they had the jury lined up, it seemed we had people talking highly about the games. It seemed like Gabe and Caroline were talking highly about Sue, Sol, Genevieve, and Andy were talking highly about Rachel, and Sierra, Kyle, and Teeny were talking highly about Sam. So it seemed like we had a good spread. The way that each player, because then we get moments of each player talking about the game, and the way
Can I
that
say something?
yeah, of course,
Do you think that they actually had to say nice things about all three of them, and then they just edited it this way?
yeah, I think
That's
because
what
it makes sense the people who got the people who got each person make sense. I would say maybe like. No, I guess Genevieve for Rachel kind of makes sense, but like Gabe and Caroline talking about Sue makes sense. Sol and Andy and Genevieve talking about Rachel, like these all like line up for sort of
Yeah.
the storyline of the season. So I'm guessing that they had to say something nice about everybody, and it kind of got cut together. But the way that each person's game is being presented to us is that Sue played the perfect loyal game. She played loyalty better than anybody else on the island. Sam played the perfect underdog game, and Rachel played the perfect strategic game. So that's sort of how us as an audience are being told to perceive each of them going into this final tribal council. And I sort of had a moment here where I was like, I had a fear that I didn't think it was going to be as clear cut for Rachel going into the final tribal council. I was worried about her, and this is sort of the moment where I brought this up earlier in the episode that I did not think going into this. I thought this was going to be the first tribal where every finalist, the first tribal in the new era where every tribal. I thought that this was going to be the first final tribal council in the new era where every finalist was going to get a vote. To me, going into it, I thought that Sue had a number one ally in Caroline. I thought Caroline was for sure going to vote for Sue. They were tight during the season. I thought Sierra was going to for sure vote for Sam. I just thought that they had duos. Sorry, yes.
I hear you. However, I think that Caroline, like, obviously she's still a big Sue fan, and that is her closest, that is one of Sue's allies. That it might be
Right.
Caroline's number one, is what she might say. But I think that in the end, Caroline is like, not necessarily that she's like smart enough isn't really the right word I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
for, but I think she just like gets the program enough that
No,
like
I
she's not gonna vote for someone just because
they were
like they
allies.
were allies.
Right.
And I think she sees like game. And I kind of think Sierra, like, yes, I thought more that she would vote for Sam, but I also like really get why she didn't, to be honest. I didn't think Sue was gonna get any. I did think Sam was gonna get more than just one,
Yes.
but I didn't think
I
Sue was gonna get any.
I thought Sue would get at least a I hate to say it, a pity vote. I thought somebody would have thrown a vote her way, but obviously we saw how that worked out. I think that I was just so, again, we talked about this at the beginning of this episode, we talked about it last episode, that the Rachel edit was just so strong, and we're not used to having a woman get such a strong winner edit. And so I was just like, it cannot, even up until this point I was like, it can't be this clear cut. Like, I feel like it's going to be much closer than we're expecting.
I mean, how many episodes did we say, now this was Rachel's episode?
Exactly. And I just was like, I was like, how, it can't be that
Obvious.
obvious, but I'm happy it was.
Me too.
Breakdown, I mean, we don't have to go too in depth. I don't think there's any crazy moments that happened during the final tribal council. I would say it was a great final tribal council. Um we'll get into it. So I tried to keep up. There was a lot of different, like, someone would ask a question and then it would sort of stem off into other things. So Gabe in general asks how they think their games are going to be remembered. And Rachel talks about how she's going to be remembered as somebody. Well, to preface, Rachel does not care how her game is remembered. And I think that's kind of iconic.
Yeah.
She flat out was like, I really, to be honest, don't care how it's remembered. I kind of just care about this moment that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Rachel says she'll be remembered as someone who fell on her face and adapted. And every time Rachel would bring up the fact that she was an underdog at one point in this game, Sam would sort of like scowl. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
He would like make a face.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, obviously we're ending the game with Rachel not being an underdog. Like, Rachel very much is sort of like the mob boss at the end point of the game, and Sam is the underdog. So I can understand why Sam is making a face, but I think we do need to remember that Rachel was at the bottom of the Gata tribe. Like, Sam was very much the kingpin on the Gata tribe, and Rachel, had there been another vote out, it probably would have been, it went Annika, and then Rachel would probably have gone next. Like,
It's absolutely a part of her story, and
yes,
it's
like,
very valid. And like, I get why Sam is trying to present her game and his game in a particular way.
yeah.
But like, Sam, like, are you just kind of forgetting all of
The way that you
pre-merge?
treated her at the beginning of the game.
Which, like,
Or...
fair enough for getting pre-merge, but it still happened sort of to her.
Sam says that he would describe his game as scrappy, and he wants to be admired in the future. And Sue doesn't even hesitate. This question has nothing. Nothing. She doesn't even wait a second.
It's my birthday.
She goes ahead and says, "Guys, you're not gonna guess it. It's my birthday, and I'm 59." And
And the reactions went mild.
it was kind of mild. And Sue preaches on loyalty. She says, "I'm going to be remembered for playing a loyal game and for being 59 and old." And they were like, "Yeah, girl, get
I
it."
actually think she's sort of missing the dirt on her face is like sort of what I think I'll think of most.
In connection to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, remember that one Survivor player that used dirt for contour?
Right. That's
Like,
sort of,
that's
I
what I
think that
meant.
will be her legacy, which is kind of iconic.
Yeah.
I think Sue has a really, out of all three of them, one of my favorite answers to a question during the final tribal council. Genevieve asks how Sue feels about liars, because Sue played such a loyal game. And Genevieve's like, a big part of this game is lying. Like, do you judge liars? And Sue's like, no, I
No.
don't judge liars. She's what I think perfect answer to this question, that she knew coming into this game people were going to lie. It's part of the game of Survivor, but she specifically chose to play a loyal game as her sort of way to go about it. But she doesn't hold it against anybody for having to have had to lie in the game at any point. It's just part of the game.
I
I thought
love
that was a very great answer.
I think so too. And because it shows just like, yes, she played her game one way, but she doesn't think that's necessarily the best way.
Or the only
And
way.
that you kind of have to lie. Sue also did lie.
Yeah, she literally didn't tell anybody about having an idol. She acted like she didn't know what that paint was. Like, she wasn't a saint, but she obviously she was. I don't think she was ever lying maliciously.
No. And I would
Um,
say that most people aren't necessarily lying maliciously. I think they're
yeah,
lying with a purpose, but I don't think they're lying to,
yeah.
like, intentionally just hurt people's feelings.
Well,
You do that though, so.
that was a wild stray that I did not ask for. That was crazy. Okay, moving on. Caroline asks for everybody's biggest mistake. And this is where I'm like, okay, I love the final tribal council. I look forward to it. It's like the finale episode of Drag Race when everybody walks out in their final gowns. It's like you're so excited for the final showing, but then like it actually happens and I'm like, okay, wait, every final tribal council is kind of the same exact question asked every single time. And I mean, in all due respect, like they're asked for specific reasons. Like these are questions that are important. Like I want to know your biggest mistake and how you handled it. I want to know how you perceive yourself, perceive us. Like these are things that are important. That's why they're asked every season. But I'm also like, oh, okay, it's kind of the same thing every time.
Yeah.
Caroline is like, what's your biggest mistake? Rachel says her mistake was not thinking about how in depth this game was being played at the merge. Like she didn't think so much game was happening when it was actually happening. Sam talks about not tying up loose ends, and Sue randomly is like, my biggest mistake was trusting Andy. So we went from having a really good answer that I was like, oh my god, this, like, you could earn a vote for this answer, to, oh wow, you are just specifically singling out a jury member that now will never vote for you. Like, that is a crazy juxtaposition, Sue. She was like, sorry, no offense, Andy. My biggest mistake was probably trusting you in this game after you had done me dirty multiple times.
So good.
Which is
Like,
like
that's
valid, I guess,
content
but
that I want to hear. I want, no offense to, I want to hear from someone who's in that final three who knows they're not gonna win. I want you to just say it like it is. Don't try and be nice to the jury and kiss up to them.
like, respectfully, Andy, I know I'm not getting your vote. My biggest mistake was not trusting you, which in a sense, kind of a great answer. Because let's be honest, Andy was never going to vote for Sue. So if you had to single out one jury member, single out Andy.
And you know what? It's kind of relatable. I would say a lot of people trusted Andy a lot of times when they shouldn't have.
You could say that for multiple people on the jury. That sort of was their fail in the game, was
They're
trusting
like, you know
Andy.
what? Me too.
Yeah.
Me too, Susu.
Come on, Susu. Soul, POV, I'm a sim. Susu. I thought that was funny. Okay, Soul talks about his own perception of Rachel, how he perceives her. And he was like, I want to know something new. Say something that will shock me.
Okay, I really liked this question. Like, tell
Mhm.
me something that I don't know and that none of us would know. That's so fun.
Rachel says that. Okay, I wrote this and I don't think that this was a great. I don't think the way that I phrase this does this. So I'm going to say it out loud, and if you remember more clearly, that'd be a great way to step in. I wrote, Rachel says that they got her to push her game at the final 6 in the end, and that Sam messed up. Why did I write that?
Yeah,
Rachel says that they got her to push her game at the final 6. Something happened in the final 6, and she really. That was Kyle.
oh, that was when she.
Oh, Andy's vote out.
Yeah, when she had to go stealth mode.
Oh, stalk them and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, they pushed her. They push. Okay, okay, okay. I don't
Which
know why.
Sam's response to this made me so mad.
Okay, so this is where I wrote. This is when, because they were already bickering back and forth, but this is when they got it. Like Sam and Rachel started getting into it a little bit.
Yeah. And rightfully so on Rachel's part, because Sam was
Yeah.
just saying nonsense to try and make her game look not as good as it was.
Which, again, and not to side with a man, but he was doing a really what men do. He was doing a great job, sort of gaslighting her and being like, this is not like his reality, like making his reality seem like the reality. Like his confidence
Yeah.
just made it work.
And I think maybe Sam was just wrong about which conversation Rachel was talking about. But I'm
Yes.
really glad that Teeny piped up on the jury bench and was like,
Yes.
no, that's sort of when I did spill this information. And
Yeah.
not really.
I spilled the information and then she found out and sort of placed herself really well.
Yeah.
I saw a couple people, and I have Rachel's answer about this, but I had forgotten about her offensive
Shot in the dark.
shot in the dark play.
I did too. And people were like, why did you
Why
bring
didn't she
that
talk
up?
about it?
Yeah.
Well, I on Rob has a podcast, she said that she did not realize how big of a moment it was going to be post season. So while she was out there, she didn't really recognize it as a, like, she understood it was something that hadn't been done before, but she didn't realize the impact that it was going to have, like the conversation that was going to occur because of doing it. She was
Yeah.
like, I didn't really realize that the fan, or like the gamer sort of reception on this move was going to be that it like broke the shot in the dark. Like, she was just like, it was just something I came up with literally at the moment. I wasn't even planning on using my shot in the dark that night. Jeff asked, and I pulled it out and was just like gonna do it. So it was just sort of like a heat of the moment at that tribal thing. She just wasn't expecting it, and then because of that, it just had no sort of lasting effect in her mind.
That's really interesting.
It is interesting, but to think like she didn't even need to bring that up.
No,
A
she
move that
didn't.
we all were clamoring. We were like, "Oh my god, what a crazy move to have done
She
that!"
is genius.
Genius, and it never like literally she just didn't bring it up at all, which I feel like would have been a great answer to this question.
Yeah.
Like, I had all of these layers to this shot in the dark move, but no, instead she talks about her sneaking around. Sam pushes back hard. And this again. So this is the moment where I'm like, "Oh, Rachel." I was like, "Sam is having a great final tribal council right now." And not that Rachel wasn't having a good final tribal council. I just don't think we were expecting Sam to have so much leverage. I was like, "Oh my god, why is he picking up steam here?"
Yes. Okay, I've also seen a lot of people online though discussing like I kind of want to know what the jury's perception of Sam's arguments were because
Hmm.
a lot of times they were not coming like I wasn't receiving them particularly well. And I know that's also just because I'm like a viewer on like watching it on TV, but I was like you're just coming across as like arrogant
Yeah.
man.
I think it's hard, and okay, not to play devil's advocate, but I think part of that too is that has been the narrative from like Teeny's perspective that we've been getting, is that Sam is just like another man. But I
Yeah.
do agree. I agree that it just came off a little bit like you are
Like I don't
pushing.
it felt like he was trying to just give Rachel no credit for any of the things
Yes,
she was
yes,
doing.
yes,
When
yes.
it's like, I don't think that
He
I
kept
don't
trying
think
to
that
put
always tearing down everything that she says is necessarily going to build
helping
you
you.
up.
Yes. He kept trying to push this luck narrative. Um and I let's get I'm going to get into that after we sort of wrap up here, have a
Yeah.
conversation about luck. But that's what happens. Andy says, Rachel, first of all, we get a Mike Holloway and Ben Drebergen drag in the year 2024, which was crazy. What? Not Mike and Ben catching strays. That was insane.
Do you think they were watching this like
What the hell do I got to do with that? That is crazy. Andy was like, Rachel, I know you and I are probably two biggest fans out here. You rank these games lower, but one could argue you played very similarly to these people.
Mhm.
Um, and Rachel says that she wanted to convince people. Okay, basically, I realized I didn't ever pose Andy's question. Andy's question was like, I need you to explain your voting record because you have a terrible voting record compared to others, the
And
people you're sitting next to.
and he was also like, you say you don't like these games, but that's how you played. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Like, reflect on that.
And Rachel talks about how she wanted to come into the game and sort of convince people to do her bidding. Like that was the game that she had imagined playing for herself. She did not want to play a physical game. But it just got to the point where build, she needed to have backup plans for in case she didn't win immunity. And it just happened that that's just how it like ended up forming. Like it just happened that way. And so she had to adapt to the game that she had set up for herself. Which I think was a good answer. Sam had a good comeback to this, I felt, because Rachel was talking about how it was able to just play through. Like she was able to just win her way to the end, where Sam really pushed this narrative that he had to fight to get to the end. Like he had to be scrappy, as he would say.
Which, to push back on that, I just don't agree. Like,
No, I don't think Sam is seeing all of Rachel's game when saying that. Like we as an audience know that Rachel very much.
well, like, not even that about Rachel's game. I mean, like, about his game. He kind of was just like, people, I think, thought that he was going to be this big, like, threat, especially physically, but then when he
Yeah.
sort of turned out to not be, and to also have sort of no social strategy until the Operation Italy, which really wasn't even, like,
His plan.
his thing. He was just a part of it.
Yeah.
Like, really, why would people want to vote him out?
Yeah. No, yeah. So I think what Rachel does successfully is that she encapsulates her whole game in this final Shelby Council performance, where Sam tries to create a very specific narrative of his game, where Rachel is like, here's the overarching story, like this is how I started and this is how I ended. Sam is like, this is the image that I want you to have of me, and I think that's where his performance fails compared to Rachel's, where Rachel accepts all aspects of it and takes all aspects to her as like her winning journey, where Sam is like, I need to portray this specific part of my game to win, instead of considering all of the things. Sierra asked a question about how people are going to connect their games to their home. And this is sort of where I realized that Sue really has not answered a question in a while. Sam talks about his family. Rachel talks about her husband. Sam talks about his fiance, and then Gabe is like, Sue, why don't you answer this question too? And then
Yeah, up until this point, I kind of assumed that Sue had been answering them, but they had just been sort of edited out. But then when they were like, "Okay, let's give Sue a chance to talk," I'd be like, "Oh my god, that's so just like throw me a bone, I guess." Oh my god.
yeah, it was not fun. I
Sue,
was
you're
like,
not gonna win, but do you want to answer this question?
I feel like this always happens. Literally, we're 7 seasons into the new era, and this happens every season where one person just doesn't
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
So that's it. The finalists are asked to recap their game. Sue, again, she pushes the loyalty. She says that she beat the odds, and she got out who she needed to get where she is. Sam says that he did not play a perfect game, but he was definitely the most well-rounded of the final three. And he is really pushing this luck aspect of Rachel's game. And Rachel says flat out, I played the most dominant game. I controlled all of the moving pieces of the merge. But it wasn't just luck. She had the social capital to back it up. she had to play an over the top. She had to, is what she says, play an over the top game, and she successfully made over the top moves and is proud of her dominant game. Like she's proud of her performance. And I think pushing this over the top narrative is really successful because so many times in this new era, the over the top people, over the top game players are the ones they miss out. They're that seventh person, they're that sixth or fifth person voted out. They miss out in fire. It's very rare we're seeing these over the top move makers in the Final Tribal Council. So I think it was a really good aspect to push. And that's that. We get to the final votes. Did you have any other comments on their performances?
Not really. I'm really happy about how Rachel did. I think she just did such a good job of also, like, yes, there was a little bit of back and forth with Sam, but I think she's so smart that I think she just knew that she didn't need to do that. And that she really, I think her game in a lot of ways speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And I think she did a really good job of articulating that. And I like how she, I don't know how, I don't even have words, but like, I just like how she did, like how she spoke about herself and her game. And that it was hers. I don't know. She just did such a good job.
It was great. It was a great performance. The final votes happened. We have a couple like freeze moments, like Sierra freezes for a second, Gabe freezes for a second, Kyle's vote for Sam is shown, and then I was for sure thinking Caroline was going to vote for Sue, and that just gagged me bad. She voted for Rachel. She had a very good voting confessional. Caroline was like, I'm so glad that I get to vote for you after watching the game that you played. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And Rachel pulls it out in a 7-1 win, Kyle being the one vote against. Rachel won Survivor 47.
I'm so happy.
Now, did you see this in the press? In the papers, Rachel was an alternate for Survivor 46.
I did see that.
What a crazy! I don't think it's
let her cook.
I don't think it's often that alternates get put on a season. Like I think it's very much like if you get picked as an alternate, it is if like say you're an alternate for Survivor 47, there are not high odds that you are coming back for 48 or like 40. Like it's not a guarantee that you get a spot on another season.
I thought there was someone last season who had been an alternate.
Well, for a while, in the early New Era seasons, there was somebody last season who was an alternate. Like they came on really last minute. I can't remember who that was, but for a moment in the New Era, the first couple seasons, it was a really weird casting thing. Like Survivor 41 had already. I think Survivor 41 and maybe Survivor 42 had already had their casts picked before the pandemic. And so then, like a year and a half, 2 years later, when they actually went out and filmed Survivor 41, their casts had changed. And so like season 41, 42, and 43 had this weird thing where like some of the people on the casts had been casted for 41 or they were alternates for a season and they just got like moved around for a better cast to be on, but what? Who?
Austin had been
right.
Austin
Yes, I remember that. Yeah. So Rachel was an alternate, and I think I don't think it's very common that an alternate, even if like you're picked for an alternate, it's not very common that you actually get put on a season.
Let alone win.
Yeah, like what a crazy turn of events.
It just wasn't her time then.
It wasn't, and they knew. Fate knew.
Yeah.
I want to say this about Rachel's game. An amazing game. I think there's a lot of discourse going on right now about where Rachel not only ranks amongst the New Era winners, but like all the winners. Yeah. Even like how she ranks amongst female winners specifically.
I mean, Jeff Probst said that she's one of the best ever.
I would say very easily top 10.
Yeah.
And I would argue there's a lot of people. Okay. So there's a lot of discourse going on right now, and this episode's going long, so I don't want to get too into it, but like a lot of people not discrediting necessarily, but not giving her flowers because of this luck aspect. They're like, she would have gone home had Soul not given her that safety without power. XYZ, all these things. Like Rachel needed an idol. Rachel needed this. Rachel needed that. To me, and I think this is something people have been saying for a long time, like this isn't a new thought, that luck is a part of Survivor.
Yeah.
And where I think Rachel's game differs from a Mike or a Ben is that Rachel had the social capital. Neither Ben, like, I guess I know Ben and Mike Holloway and Ben Trebergen are avid listeners of our podcast. But they were not very like likable.
Mm-hmm.
And that was sort of like the vibe of why people want, or I guess in Mike's case, like Mike was too likable, and that's why everybody wanted him out. And then he did like he pulled a move that put a bad taste in people's mouths. Ben was also, I just like, Rachel was likable. She had people that wanted to keep her in the game. She was never like, when it did get to the point near the end game where she was the person in the hot seat, she was able to save herself. I just feel like Rachel had a great, like, she had great social capital that I feel like saved her. And luck is part of Survivor.
And like, yes, there's some luck, but like her idol, for example, that was not an easy thing to get where it was located. Yes, the clue to the idol might have been luck in her French fries at the auction, but we all saw her having to go up and like tear into the tarp of the shelter that they were all sort of sitting at. That takes skill and being able to go under the radar. And she was able to do that socially too. I mean, she has been such a dominant player, at least like from our perspective, for a long time. But she was able to like avoid being one of the outcast threats and was in the underdog alliance. Like from the beginning, people have been saying how likable and comfortable she makes people feel. And like it also is so important how you make your moves and like what you do with the lucky parts, I guess. Like all of these moves that she made could have been wrong. What if she didn't play her idol? What if she like there's just so many places where like she could have gone wrong, but she didn't, and that was not because of luck, that was because of strategy. Also, I would argue that Saul playing that on her wasn't necessarily luck. Like she did a good job in
Saul didn't
prior
have to play it.
connections.
Didn't have to
Saul
play.
could have picked any of them, and he picked Rachel.
Yeah.
And that's just like, sorry that you didn't get that, but like, I wouldn't call it luck.
Yeah, I think there are, I mean, yes, luck is involved in winning, and there was luck in her game, but I think there isn't as much luck involved in her game than everybody is trying to make it out to be.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a very interesting moment to talk about at Final Tribal Council, and who knows whether it was brought up or not, but I I think really pushing this idea, like the idol that saved me is an idol that I got in an item that any of us could have won.
Yeah.
Number one. And number two, it was an idol that I had to literally, like, you were all at camp. You guys were not more than 10 feet away from me when I got the idol.
I'm
In broad daylight. It wasn't even dark outside. Like, I look at the camera. You can see all of you in the background while I'm cutting up the
I want to
tarp.
see footage of all of them reacting to that because that was an insane moment.
That was insane.
And it took guts to do that. Like I would
Yes.
not have been able to do that. I don't think most of the people there would have been able to do it and to execute it so flawlessly as she did so much of her game.
I'm so happy for her.
I'm so happy for her too.
It's the woman's moment in Survivor history right now.
It so is. Yeah, I'm so over online discourse about this.
Oh, I am
Because
too.
I'm also really sick, and this is no shade to Sam, but I'm really sick of all these like major Sam defenders. Nate, what did he do to make you think that he deserved to win over Rachel?
And here's where I mean I definitely don't think Sam deserved to win over Rachel, but Maddie and I were talking about I don't know if this was on the pod or not, but Maddie and I were talking and I was like I would be fine if Sam won, and Maddie was like I don't know.
I definitely would not have been fine if Sam
Yeah,
won.
I would have been like I Sam had if Rachel okay if Sam had won with Rachel not being there.
Yes.
That is where yeah I should preface that that's what I meant. I would not have been I would have been very confused if Sam had won over Rachel. But if it was a Sue, Teeny, and Sam final
Then
three,
absolutely.
I would have been like, okay, so if Sam winning makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm over online discourse as well. I'm like, what do you like? What do you guys know that I don't know? Like, why do you think your opinions matter more than my opinion?
When
Like,
when our opinions matter most,
exactly.
obviously.
Like we're
Or
watching the
right
same show.
opinions.
And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But it's the women's moment in Survivor. We out of our 7 new winners, 5 of them have been women.
I know.
And how many of them have been people of color? A lot of them have been people of color.
Yeah.
5 of them have been people of color. So it's just like, what a fun moment we're in. I
I'm
just
so happy.
women are succeeding and it's fun to watch. I argue that women bring more dynamic games. I would say women and gay people bring more dynamic games. Gay blur kind of gay blurred, but um I quick notes from the reunion. Maddie and I don't love the reunion. We don't love the live reunion at all. We
I hate it. I was so bored. Because guess what? I just watched so much of that. Oh my God. I know we've gone in depth about how much we hate it before, but Jeff's little comment about this is why I love the live reunion. Shut up, Jeff.
oh my god.
Shut up.
Oh wow.
They are not good. Name. Go ask someone on the street who watches Survivor. Pick a random person. Ask, do you like the reunion being directly after finding out the winner? They're gonna say no.
I think you should conduct that experiment.
Oh my God! In the off season, we take the podcast to the streets.
Right. I'm just gonna run through all my reunion notes really quick. I'm just gonna read what I wrote, and then you can sort of interject maybe at the end if you have any other thoughts. Okay.
Okay.
Somebody, I think Teeny says, or Rachel, you don't deserve to face we're about to face all the criticism we don't deserve. And then it cuts to Genevieve and she dropped her head. I was like, that's funny. Because Ice Queen. I wrote that I didn't even notice that Soul, was back wearing his slutty vest.
Okay, speaking of that, can we talk about really quickly the watch party that they all went to, all the castaways, and Teeny and Saul
We're
wearing matching
twins.
outfits?
They're best friends apparently. I was watching Soul's Ponderosa like TikTok, and he was like me and my new best friend Teeny. I was like, oh my god.
I'm loving this little duo.
Love the duo. They looked so good. Love a man in a slutty vest. I was like, okay, Soul's pecs, like that's crazy. Rachel is in shock. Sam, oh, I said Sam is handling this better than some of our other runners ups. Like, I think he's he's able to communicate better, like, than Charlie, for example, last season.
Okay, in Charlie's defense, that was crazy.
That was crazy. Teeny, there was a cut to Teeny getting another glass of champagne. Are we surprised? Sue is in the 1% of people in her sort of age group. 1% of women in her age range have made it to this point that she's made it at. 1%.
Yeah,
Or 1% of all players, I think that's what the stat was. Like the stat that she fulfills is 1% of all the people that have played Survivor. Like that's kind of insane. We're reliving Andy's breakdown. I said, please get this off my TV. Genevieve talks about needing to understand. Oh, if you're gonna play the game, this was like the player's message to people who are applying. Genevieve says that you need to understand that you will be on the bottom. There is no linear way to play Survivor. Every single person in the cast, every single person that jury portion was at the bottom at some point of the season. You will be at the bottom at some point. You just have to mentally prepare yourself. Caroline says that you need to be socially understandable. Gabe says, I don't agree with that. I wasn't really worried about other people's feelings. Jeff commends Teeny on being so young and that she didn't let the lack of her life experience stop her from doing what she needed to do. That's sort of the wrap up. We got the trailer for Survivor 48. There looks like to be some real divas on there, so we're gonna have a diva off 2.0.
This trailer is just like They're the same every single time.
Oh, every single
In
time.
this new season, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I hate it. But
Yeah,
it's fun to see a little peek. Because, like, February 26th, can you hurry up?
that's it, everybody.
Yeah.
That's it on our coverage of Survivor 48. Next week we are going to post sort of a cast recap of Survivor 47. We usually do that post season. We go through and talk about our cast members, give our final opinions, and wrap up the season. After that, we're gonna go on a little break, and then we're gonna get into some
For like a week.
for a week. Yeah, it's just a week break, and then we're gonna get into Traders season 3 coverage. So get locked and loaded for that.
It's
Maybe
on Peacock.
it's on Peacock. It's going to be so fun. I'm going to sort of perfect my British accent before then, and it's going to be really good.
Why your British one and not your Scottish one?
Oh, it is filmed in Scotland, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I watch a bunch of British people in Scotland. Isn't that kind of crazy?
Yeah.
I stand with the Scottish and the Irish. Do you have any closing thoughts, Maddie?
I've given a lot of thoughts.
I know. I feel like we've
And
been doing this for literally 2 hours.
we basically have.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll make it brief. I love this season. I love this winner. And I love this little podcast.
I know. Thank you all for joining us for another season of Making Fire Pod.
I know.
If you want more content, stay tuned for the off season. We'll be back for Survivor 48. Watch us on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share, rate. Remember when people used to say rate my video? Isn't that crazy? Follow us on our socials at Making Fire Pod on Twitter.
You had to get it.
It
in there one
really,
more time this
it
season.
really. This has been
And
my
you were on a good
episode.
streak.
I was gonna say, I feel like that I've been on a good streak when I host the episodes of like not doing my repeat sort of offenses, and this episode sort of, it all came back crashing down. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at Making Fire Pod for more content. All
Wait,
of the
I have a
luxuries,
question.
of course.
Have you ever been to Krispy Kreme?
No.
Oh. Right.
Oh yes. Sorry. Not me forgetting the joke. Yes, I have been to Krispy Kreme.
Right.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Wrap it up.
Don't pee me, oh.
Do not PMO. Wrap it up.